I think you guys should stand up back here.
Yeah, have Kevin.
I think they should be up
Kevin.
here. It just looks
Yeah,
more like.
that's good.
I just think too.
Yeah, you want to crop too, Gabe? If you
Yeah,
want?
yeah, okay, and Billy.
Billy too, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, and then, Peter, I'm gonna say, that, is that right? That I'll, well, I'll say that, and then I'll say, oh, sorry. Okay. Oh,
Yeah, was it like, I guess.
okay. Okay, ready? You guys ready? Okay. Good afternoon. Is it afternoon? Yeah. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mayor Paulette Guajardo. Today we're gathering with some unfortunate news. As you may have heard, we've got we've got a water boil that we are presenting the city with and our residents with. I want everyone first to know that we were on the phone this morning, the city manager and myself, with Chief Nim Kidd, who is the State Director of Emergency Management, to ask for additional help. So we both want you to know that as we receive more information regarding additional help, we will pass that along to you and make sure you're informed of what's to come. So as a result of low water pressures, the city must implement an immediate water boil order as required by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. All water customers are being notified to boil their water prior to consumption. Seniors and persons with weakened immune systems are particularly vulnerable to harmful bacteria and should especially follow the order. If you have any questions or if you need assistance with anything, please call 361-826-CITY or 826-2489 from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We have our staff ready to go to answer questions that you may have in regards to any of this. The City of Corpus Christi's water distribution system is being impacted from a major water main break that is leading to low water pressure or no water service to customers. Loss of power throughout the city is further complicating identification, repairs, and restoration of the system. To ensure destruction of all bacteria and other microbes, water for drinking, cooking, and ice making should be boiled and cooled prior to use for drinking water or human consumption purposes. The water should be brought to a vigorous rolling boil and then boiled for 2 minutes. In lieu of boiling, individuals may purchase bottled water or obtain water from other suitable sources for drinking water or human consumption purposes. The city's Emergency Operations Center is contacting grocers and other retailers to notify them of the need for more bottled water for the Corpus Christi region. And when it is no longer necessary to boil the water, the City of Corpus Christi will notify customers that the water is safe for drinking and human consumption purposes, and then we will rescind the water boil order. I want you all to know that the entirety of our city resources are being deployed to help you. The other important thing to know is that our front line is extremely strong, which means you have a team working for you that is working for you, and we will continue to do so until we get through all of this. Most especially, what I want people to know is that we are going to leave no one behind. We know and we understand there are people who do not have electricity. This couldn't be, it's an unbelievable time of what's happening to us. But it is what it is, and I believe that it makes us come together and we figure it out. That's what we're here for. We're your leaders to figure it out. The team behind me is here to figure it out and make things happen, and that's exactly what we plan on doing. I will be receiving a map from AEP, which is going to show where our outages of electricity are. Once we have that map, we will look to the logistics of distributing water to those who are not able to come to a distribution point or distribution pod that we also plan on setting up here eventually, and get water to those people at their homes. We will utilize our city staff. We're going to do whatever it takes, just like we have been doing for the coronavirus pandemic. This is not something that we're not going to get through. As your mayor of 1 month, I'm going to tell you right now that matters not to me. What matters is that the team behind me and all of those working behind the scenes who aren't here today will get us through this, and we're going to do it we're going to do it together, not alone. The other thing I want you all to know is that everyone here is very accessible to you. There are going to be a lot of questions, and the gentleman behind me will step up here in a moment to answer the different types of questions we have. But we are accessible. We will deal with whatever comes in the different stages of this. When our water department steps up, you're going to get a better picture of what this means for the next 24 or 48 hours, especially. So, again, please know that we're here for you. I'm not going to rest. I'm not going to sleep until every single step of this is addressed and every person has what they need, and we address everybody with the water that they need. We're working very hard right now to secure water and to make sure that our grocers are stocked with water. Hopefully our road conditions continue to improve. We will have regular reporting of our road conditions and other aspects of the city that you need to know about on a daily basis. So with that, I'm going to have Peter Zanoni come up, our city manager, and just say a few words in terms of the operations.
Como resultado de las bajas presiones del agua, la ciudad debe implementar una orden de hervir el agua de inmediato, como lo requiere la Comisión de Calidad Ambiental de Texas, o TCEQ. Las personas mayores y las personas con sistemas inmunológicos debilitados son particularmente vulnerables a las bacterias dañinas y deben seguir especialmente esta orden. Si tiene preguntas, se le pide llamar al 826-2489. Esta línea está abierta de 7 a 7. El sistema de distribución de agua de la ciudad de Corpus Christi se está viendo afectado por una ruptura importante de la tubería principal que está provocando una baja presión del agua o la falta de servicio de agua a los consumidores. La pérdida de energía en toda la ciudad complica aún más la identificación, las reparaciones y la restauración del sistema. Para asegurar la destrucción de todas las bacterias dañinas y otros microbios, el agua para beber, cocinar y hacer hielo debe hervirse y enfriarse antes de usarla para beber o para consumo humano. El agua debe llevarse a ebullición por al menos 2 minutos. En lugar de hervir, las personas pueden comprar agua embotellada u obtener agua de alguna otra fuente adecuada para beber o para consumo humano. El Centro de Operaciones de Emergencia de la ciudad se está comunicando con las tiendas para notificarles sobre la necesidad de más agua embotellada para la región de Corpus Christi. Cuando ya no sea necesario hervir el agua, la ciudad de Corpus Christi notificará a los clientes que el agua es segura para beber o para consumo humano y rescindirá la orden de hervir el agua. Quiero que sepa que todos nuestros recursos en la ciudad están trabajando para usted. Sabemos que no todos cuentan con electricidad, pero no vamos a abandonar a nadie y haremos lo posible porque todos los servicios sean restaurados. Esperamos contar con el centro de distribución de agua y estamos trabajando en ello. Va a haber preguntas y estamos aquí para contestarles. Estamos aquí trabajando arduamente para ayudar a nuestros residentes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Gabby. We just want to thank the media also again for being here under short notice and helping to inform the community of this new event. So I'm Peter Zanoni, Corpus Christi City Manager. And just to kind of go over a little bit more what the mayor has talked to us about. So we do have what we think is a water main break. We're still trying to identify the location, and so that has an impact on the timeline of this. So once the location is discovered and fixed, then there's a period of time where pressure has to be restored in the system, and then water has to be tested. And until that time, we'll stay in that water boil notice or order. And so a couple of key things, though, is that we do have water, right? It may be low pressure, but there is water, which is good. Many cities across the state have no water at all because their systems are either frozen or their production plants are offline. So we do have water in Corpus Christi, albeit the pressure may be low. We do have it. Everything we've talked to you about this morning applies to the majority of all the city with the exception of Padre Island. And so North Padre Island, which is about 10,000 customers, their water situation is different. They're on a different water pressure plane, serviced by a different water tower. And so none of this applies to those residents on North Padre Island, which is good. So 10,000 persons don't have to follow what we're talking to you about today. So we do have water, but the water boil notice is put into place following our own common sense, but TCEQ guidelines as well. So when the water pressure gets to a certain point in the lines, it's more susceptible to bacteria growth. And hence, that's what the water boil is for, is to keep people safe, right? So if you consume water, the recommendations and the guidelines that are now on our website should be followed, and it's for our own health and safety. Our health department is aware as well. They were at a call earlier this morning with the team as well. So the water boil is put in place, again, to protect you and your families and follow the guidelines that we do put out. We're also working with distributors for bottled water, right? We know that, first of all, 1/3 of all AEP customers in Corpus Christi, that's about 50,000 people, are still without power, right? And the situation didn't get any better overnight. In fact, more customers were taken offline than yesterday because of the continued issue with power production across the state. So about 4,000 more homes and businesses were taken offline last night. So 50,000 customers, or about 1/3 of all AEP customers, don't have power. So we're aware of that. So for us, that means more logistics, right? If they can't boil water, how do they get water? So today, or actually already today, and we'll continue through the day, we're working on distribution points where bottled water can be picked up across the city. They'll be strategically located across the city. We're working with our police department on traffic plans, best location, and so on. We're also working to obtain bottled water. We've already talked to some of the major distributors, to include our partners at HEB this morning. And the storm and the Texas condition of weather doesn't make that any easier, because a lot of the supply chain is either broken or is slowed because of the weather event. But nonetheless, we're confident we'll get water today, bottled water, I should say, and we'll make that available at these distribution points. One of our partners that we use in times like this is the Red Cross, and the Red Cross will help us with any senior or person that's homebound that can't make it to a distribution site and may not have power but need bottled water. That's what the mayor was talking about. We're not going to leave anybody behind, so partners like the Red Cross are being engaged already to help distribute water. And then we have our own teams as well that we can use if we need to. So those are some of the logistics issues. I think the key thing, though, to remember is we do have water. It's running. It's at low pressure. Part of our system is still operable down there on Padre Island. 10,000 customers are not impacted. Our distribution plant at the Owen Stevens production plant in Cal Allen is in full operation. There's no issue there. In fact, the amount of water that it's producing or putting out is it's more than what we normally put out, and that's the indication that we have that break somewhere. So the system's working fine. Now it's just getting that distribution system fixed, and then spending the time that we need to do the test of the water to make sure there's no bacteria. Okay, so with that, we're going to conclude our prepared remarks. As the mayor said, we have a very dedicated team that's behind us here. Billy Delgado, our EOC chief, is here. And then our water and assistant water director is here as well. Our whole team at the water department, every employee is at work right now. And that means they had to find alternate ways to get to work because still most of our major connecting roads are closed due to the storm conditions or the inclement weather conditions. So the team's here. If we have any specific questions from the media, the mayor and myself can answer questions, and Billy Delgado from EOC is there as well. So at this time, we'll take any questions you might have.
Actually, she's going to translate.
Okay, sorry. Let's have Gabby translate first in Spanish. And then we'll see if there's any questions from the media.
Continuamos tratando de identificar la ubicación de la ruptura de la tubería. Una vez que encontremos, se van a realizar las reparaciones. Muchas ciudades están en la misma situación, pero contamos con agua en áreas con baja presión. En el área de la isla no se ha visto afectados, ya que cuentan con una torre diferente y ellos no se verán afectados por esta orden. Cuando la presión del agua baja a cierto número, la calidad se puede ver afectada, por eso emitimos la orden de ebullición. También estamos trabajando con las tiendas para distribuir agua, ya que muchos residentes aún no cuentan con electricidad y así no van a poder hervir el agua. Se estima que 1/3 de la población aún no cuenta con electricidad. Cuando tengamos un plan de distribución, le daremos esa información. La tormenta que acaba de ocurrir no hace esta tarea fácil, pero hacemos lo posible por poder atender esta situación lo más pronto posible. La Cruz Roja Americana también está ayudando a este esfuerzo de distribución. Recuerde, tenemos agua, pero en algunas áreas esa presión está muy baja. Residentes de la isla no se están viendo impactados y la planta de tratamiento de agua no se ha visto afectada y no cuenta con ningún problema. Le quiero recordar que todo el personal del Departamento de Agua está trabajando para todos nuestros residentes.
Have any tests been run on any portions of the water in the system yet, and have there been any indications that bacteria has been found?
We do monitor the system all the time from the treatment plant. We have instrumentation that's out there. It monitors chlorine primarily. That's our primary disinfectant, and that's an indicator that the water is good quality. And all those readings have been good. Today, we're actually going to be sending out water quality technicians and field technicians to go and start taking samples. We weren't able to do that yesterday because of the weather, and there are no indications at all that any water in the system is bad right now.
Do you have any idea how many customers in the city are without water right now?
Without water?
Very little. About
100 reports yesterday. Yeah, we had
101.
yeah, we had a number of calls yesterday, but it was people's residents' risers. It was their lines that were frozen.
Okay.
And so we had about 160 calls yesterday that we looked at.
Probably we're still. Greg, I think it's fair to say every customer has water service. Yesterday, there was some impact, mostly at the individual customer location. They had a frozen pipe where the water couldn't get into the home. So the issue is not water loss, it's low pressure.
Okay.
And so as far as we know, most residential, if not all residential customers have water. Some of the large industrial users, like a hospital, may have more difficulty, obviously, when they have huge draw demands and needs, but.
Yeah, I know of at least one that doesn't.
Did you say you don't have water?
I don't have water at all.
We need to get your pipes untucked.
When my power went back on for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Enough water went back into my pipes that I was able to see that water was running again.
Right,
But I haven't had water since
right.
like 8 yesterday morning.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're aware of customers like yourself, and a lot of those issues are at the point of, from the city's main or the city's
The
line.
pumping station needs electricity.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so you're experiencing frozen pipes at the resident or at the location.
Okay,
Yes, sir. So, because the water's flowing in the pipes, it's just a matter of low pressure.
okay.
Yes, sir.
It's not a matter of the pumping station not having electricity. We do have generator capability, and we've been working very closely with AEP to make sure we have, in fact, all of our wastewater treatment plants, everyone has power right now.
That means this is going to get expensive for me. Thank you.
Hello. Just mainly if we have any kind of a timeline for when the notice may be lifted. Do we have kind of any idea at the moment?
Yeah, it's going to be, so first we have to get the break restored, and that's to be determined. We're trying to find the location, in fact. So once we find the issue, then it has to be fixed, so we can't put a time on that right now. After it's restored, there's an 18-hour period where we have to test the water. The test takes 18 hours. Basically, you're culturing water to see if any bacteria grows in the water. So it's going to be measured probably in a few days. It's not an hourly thing. It's going to take a couple of days, most likely.
Okay. And do y'all know when you'll have any details of the water distribution points?
Later today, Billy, probably around late this afternoon, probably 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay. And And if you could say and spell your first and last name, like, so we know who you are.
Yeah,
I'm Kevin
Come-
Norton.
Kevin Martin?
Norton,
Norton.
yeah, Norton.
Okay. And where are you from?
I'm the Director of Water Utilities.
Director of Water Utilities. Okay, thank you.
I'd like him to make a few statements. This is Gabriel.
Hi, good afternoon. Gabriel Ramirez, Assistant Director of Water. So I wanted to make a few statements regarding the boil water notice and how it came to be. So our water distribution system actually dropped below 20 psi, or pounds per square inch. Whenever the water pressure drops below 20 psi, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, or the TCEQ, has a regulation that states that you must boil water. Residents before consumption must boil their water when the water pressure drops below 20 psi. So part of this is going to be finding the main break, which we've been doing since last night. We've been tracking it and trying to find it all through the night and into today as well. Once we find that main break and repair it, then it's a matter of the water pressure stabilizing throughout the distribution system and consistently being above 20 psi. Once that happens, then we'll do the bacteriological test, and if the results are good, then we can rescind the boil water notice at that time. Thank you. Gabriel Ramirez, Assistant Director of Water with the city, Corpus Christi.
Yes, so the water main break, is it inside the city limits or outside? Any idea where?
Kevin, let's
this
have
might
Kevin,
be?
yeah.
Talk about restaurants.
Yeah, the water main.
It would be inside the city limits, and we are looking for that. And like the city manager and Gabriel had said, how it all started about 8:30 last night, I got about a half dozen emails and a phone call from people reporting low water, no water. And so we kind of mobilized then. Gabriel came and picked me up about 9:30, and we've been up all night out with the team looking. And like the city manager said, we have all hands on deck right now, scouring, trying to search where this break is. We have almost 1,800 miles of distribution main, so it's a lot of territory to cover.
This is an underground break or is it?
Yes, sir, it's underground.
Just two other quick points. One is that our indications are it's probably going to be in a remote area, which is going to maybe make the repair a little bit more difficult. Normally, when there's a break, you can see it, we can see it, customers call it in if they're driving by. So we think it's in a more remote area. Some of our transmission lines or water distribution lines do go under bodies of water, like the Oso Creek and Bay area. So it's to be determined, but we're going to notify the community through the media, through social media, each step of the way, so we can all internally know what our timeline's looking like. And then one other thing, there was a question on restaurants. Do restaurants have to close? Some people think that now restaurants are forced to close, and the answer is no. They don't have to close. They just follow the same guidelines of water usage as we would do at home. So they would bring ice in from outside vendor. They would boil water if they're using it for consumption, right? So restaurants do not have to close.
Is there a plan for water distribution for the homeless, and are you opening up more shelters?
Well, we're not. We currently have the FEMA dome that we're servicing this community with. That'll continue. We currently give them water and food, and we'll continue to do that. As was mentioned earlier, we want people to know that we're not leaving anyone behind. So whether it be 100 people with no water or 300 people with no water, we'll find a way, working with our team, to make sure that water can be distributed to them. Of course, the other side of that would be the water distribution pods that the city manager mentioned, where people can come and get the water. But for those, again, who can't, we're going to use the maps of where the outages are and try and plan that distribution with our own staff and team. So everyone at this point would be taken care of, including the homeless.
Okay. Regarding the FEMA dome, it was full, and there were other homeless people that didn't get access, and also they were complaining that they didn't have access to showers.
What's that?
Yeah.
They were, was it, it's full to?
It's at capacity
It's at
right now.
capacity,
Yeah.
okay. Well, we are working, we've always partnered with the Salvation Army, and we're stay in touch with them to see what the movement is. Our number at our facility was somewhat fluid as well, people leaving and coming back. But if that's the case, we're going to continue working with our partners to make sure that everyone has somewhere to be. Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, ma'am, so on the homelessness, the mayor made a pledge here this morning that we're going to make sure every person that needs water is going to get water in terms of bottled water for those that can't boil it because of the power outage. We made a similar pledge, the mayor and council and myself, which was any homeless person that wanted a place to be sheltered because of the inclement weather would have one, and we've made good on that promise. The fact that the FEMA dome doesn't have showers is a small detail. We have restrooms, they have meals, 3 hot meals a day, thanks to our partners and others out there. There's great accommodations for them. We did have to move them from the American Bank Center to the FEMA dome to have a reliable power source. But any homeless person that wants a place to get out of the cold and the elements, we're providing that to them. The FEMA dome is at capacity at this point, and right now staff is evaluating an alternate location for additional homeless and other persons that want some type of warming center. And we'll make that announcement on where that location is. But at this point, no one's turned away into the cold. We're getting logistics established so that appropriate accommodations, especially with COVID protocol, are in place.
One more question about the break. If anyone sees anything that might appear to be a water main break, where do they report it to, and what are some of the flags for, to notice?
Yes, sir. If anyone sees any standing water, other than rainfall, of course, an extreme amount of water coming from a line anywhere in the open fields or on the streets, sidewalks, definitely call 826-CITY, 826-2489, and report it, and we'll be out there to address it right away.
Oh, right, yeah. So lastly, in regards to communication, we plan on keeping everyone, all of you, very much and very well informed regarding all of this and other issues that we're obviously dealing with. Vaccinations, that still has to happen, so we'll continue that this week. It'll just be a little delayed, probably into the weekend. But please stay tuned with our news releases, our social media, my own social media. I put all of the same things out as well. We are creating currently an FAQ with lots of questions and answers that I think you'll find very helpful. So again, I'll be putting that out on my social media. We'll put it on the city's social media, and we will continue to keep you informed every step of the way. So we will make sure we communicate with you, and we'll make sure that know that we are listening to you, and that hopefully this event is a 24 to 48 hour event, and that we can move on and then continue getting everyone vaccinated and move on with that as well and get out of that event. But again, the main message today is that we do have this upon us. It's unfortunate, but we will get through it, and we have the best team. Please know that. As these 2 gentlemen from our water department just mentioned, they were literally up all night trying to figure out where this is. I mean, this couldn't be more complicated by the weather. It's just unbelievable. But we know that God's on our side, and we are going to get through it. So we'll stay in communication with you, always accessible. And that pretty much concludes our briefing on this. And we'll see you soon, or you will hear from us very soon on this. Thank you very much. And thank you to the media for being here today.